I don't really understand why so many people love this movie.
That is deeply insulting to my culture and the culture of my people, the Halloween lovers of the world.
I just thought it was better than I remember it being better.
That's fair. I did too, actually. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, okay, I'm glad we're on the same page.
Halloweentown 2 is better.
Yes, and also, another hot take that you'll be mad at me about, I like the one that has Sarah Paxton. That's my nostalgia Halloweentown.
Ooh, Gabriella, I think you just got canceled. Welcome, fellow Disney Channel babes, whether you're from the nostalgic 90s
Or the awkward aughts.
or you're giving Gen Z. We're glad that you're here.
I'm Gabriella.
And I'm Natalie, and this is the podcast where we rave
And sometimes roast
classic Disney Channel original movies.
You're listening to Once Upon a DCOM.
Hello, Disney-loving besties! Welcome to Once Upon a DCOM, the podcast where we take deep dives into your favorite Disney Channel original movies, one rewatch at a time. My name is Natalie, and this is my co-host, Gabby.
What up?
We are both Disney lovers, and we are randomly selecting a new Disney Channel original movie to watch or rewatch every single week. This week, we are wrapping up spooky season with the all-time Halloween banger, Halloweentown. Gabby, are you freaking out?
I wish I was more, but not so much. I'm excited about Halloween, though.
Ooh. Okay, yeah. I'm sad that we're coming to the end of spooky season. I love it so much.
You know, I am too, but I actually am really excited to get back to our randomizer that has all the DCOMs because there's just so many possibilities with that. And I've kind of missed having like that large list to choose from. So I'm excited,
It's true.
but I am sad. This has been a fun little season.
Yeah. Have you chosen your Halloween costume yet? You don't have to tell me what it is. I just do you have it?
You know what? I'm not going to lie. No, I've been really distracted with a lot of things. Florida had a hurricane a few weeks ago, and that kind of threw me off. And then just life. So no, sadly. Have you?
Yes, my husband and I have an idea. We know what we're going to do. We're attending a party, so we're ready for it. It is a film-related thing. It's not Disney, though.
Oh, wait, you're not going to tell us, though?
No, I'm not going to tell you. You'll have to go to the Instagram and see.
Oh my gosh. Ugh, you got me so excited.
Well, I'll tell you off air.
Okay, that works. Fair. Sorry, listeners.
All right, before we dive into our recap, let me just give y'all a little intro into this absolute classic. Halloweentown debuted in 1998, directed by Dwayne Dunham. Dunham or Dunham, one of them. Mr. Dwayne. Dwayne, who was best known as an editor for some iconic films like Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Man of many talents, clearly.
Is this real life? That's who did this movie?
Yeah, he directed it.
Bro, okay.
I know.
It doesn't show.
Yeah. Well, he edited Star Wars. He directed this. I don't know. He's trying something new.
Okay.
The film stars the legendary Debbie Reynolds, Kimberly J. Brown, Joey Zimmerman, and many, many more. Fun fact, Kimberly J. Brown, who plays Marnie, was only 13 when she landed the lead role of this film.
Wow. Had she done other work? Well, I guess maybe we'll get to that later, but I'm just curious, had she acted before?
I don't know. I didn't look that up. All right. And as I'm sure we all know, Halloweentown was so popular that it sparked 3 sequels in the franchise. So 4 movies total. What did we call that, Gabby? A quadrilogy?
A quadrilogy, I believe, is what we called it. Quadrilogy.
Obviously, yes.
Much like zombies.
All right, let's fly into the magical adventure that is Halloweentown.
Oh my goodness, yes. Okay, so our story begins on Halloween night where Marnie, a young teenager, longs to go out and trick-or-treat with her friends, but her and her siblings are not allowed to participate in anything related to Halloween, as per the rules put down by their mother, Gwen. Dylan, Marnie's brother, is fine ignoring Halloween and prefers more practical holidays like Arbor Day, which tells you almost everything you need to know about Dylan. But Marnie and her little sister Sophie are desperate to dress up and go out. Marnie gets into a huge fight with her mom about the rules and accuses her mom of not trusting her. Shortly after the fight, we have a strange interaction in which Sophie asks her mom for a cookie before dinner because she's 6 or something, and her mom refuses to give her the cookie until after dinner. Sophie unknowingly begins levitating the cookie towards herself, kind of like behind her head. She doesn't know she's doing it. Her mother quickly grabs the cookie and eats it and hides this weird, strange occurrence. And it is at that moment that Gwen's mom, Grandma Aggie, shows up to the kitchen for an unexpected and mostly unwelcome visit.
Oh, we love you, Grandma Aggie. We love you.
She's the best part of this movie, 100%.
Oh, for sure. She's who I aspire to be.
You know, I could definitely see you being this kind of grandma.
I really hope so. She's so fun.
So, Aggie spends the entire evening dazzling the kids with candy and magic tricks and odd trinkets and stories of a land called Halloweentown, where it is Halloween every single day. When the kids supposedly go to bed, Aggie and Gwen, her daughter, get into an argument in the kitchen where it is revealed that all of the females in the family, Aggie, Gwen, Marnie, and Sophie, are actually witches with magical powers that come from the real-life land of Halloweentown. And tonight is actually Marnie's last opportunity to begin her witch's training before her 13th birthday ends, or else she will lose all of her powers.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes, Gwen insists that she plans on raising her daughters in the normal world as non-magical people, aka muggles, so that they can be, I'm just kidding, that's from Harry Potter. Anyways, so that they can be just like their brother and father, the dad who had died a few years back and was not magical. Aggie begrudgingly agrees to leave, but gives Gwen one final warning that there are dark and mysterious happenings in Halloweentown, and she needs another Cromwell witch to come find out what's wrong and save the land. And then she leaves. Not surprisingly, Marnie was eavesdropping and overhears all of this, and so armed with the knowledge that she is a Cromwell witch and her grandmother needs help to save Halloweentown, she plans to take off. Dylan, her brother, decides to go with her, not because he believes any of it, but because he wants to make sure that she is safe, which is really sweet since he doesn't believe any of it. So the two of them sneak out and onto the bus where grandmother Aggie is, and they head to Halloweentown. Of course, the grandma doesn't know yet. Upon arriving, the kids realize that Sophie has also snuck out and come along with them, as she was only pretending to be asleep and heard the whole plan. Halloweentown ends up being everything the kids could imagine and better. They meet a cast of hilarious characters, including a skeleton cab driver named Benny, a little punk named Luke, who apparently recently got a nose job and now thinks he's a big shot in the town.
Recently got a nose job.
I'm pretty sure that's how Benny describes it.
I mean, just
or something of the sort.
Oh, that's so delightful.
They also meet Calabar, who is the town mayor. Once Aggie discovers that the kids have followed her, she insists on taking them home, but the kids convince her to let them stay and help her save Halloweentown. Meanwhile, back in the normal world, Gwen goes to check on her children and finds them all gone. So she immediately, correctly assumes what happened and heads out to find them and gets on the next bus to Halloweentown.
I will say that is a point for Gwen. She is not dumb. Like, some of these DCOM mothers are dumb. Gwen is on top of it. She does not for one moment have any dumb thoughts.
She knew exactly where they were.
I respect her so much.
She's actually a great mom. So once Gwen arrives, after confronting the kids and Aggie, she takes them all to town hall to see if the mayor can help them get home on the next bus because, oh yeah, apparently the one she came in on was like the last one until next Halloween. That's another detail. Residents of Halloweentown can only come and go from the normal world on Halloween, which is now apparently over in the real world, or close to over, so there's no more buses. We come to learn that Gwen and Calabar, the mayor, actually used to date when she lived in Halloweentown in like high school era. It is a lot. And he, well, let's just say he's got some feelings still about her. We'll get into that more later. Calabar has to step out really quickly to attend to some urgent matter, and in the time that he's gone, Gwen and Marnie get into yet another fight about why Gwen won't let Marnie stay in Halloweentown and begin her witch's training. Marnie storms out on a mission to find her grandmother. Flash sideways, Aggie has been talking to Luke, the punk from earlier with the nose job, who says he knows what's going wrong with Halloweentown, and the person in charge wants to speak with Aggie. Aggie follows Luke into an abandoned movie theater where several Halloweentown residents are laying frozen in the chairs, looking nearly dead. Aggie is confronted by a cloaked villain who flies out of the movie theater screen and reveals his plan to overtake Halloweentown, reunite it with the normal world once again like it apparently used to be in the olden days, and then the Halloweentown residents can rule the world, or something like that. The cloaked man shoots magic towards Aggie, but Gwen jumps in front of her to protect her, and she takes the spell and falls frozen into one of the chairs. Then he finally gets Aggie, and she also falls into the chair, but not before warning Marnie, Dylan, and Sophie that they now have to save Halloweentown. It's all up to the kids. Now, the MacGuffin of this movie is a talisman that Aggie owns, and Marnie figures out that she needs to brew a witch's potion to put over the talisman to get it to light up, kind of like a flashlight, which should somehow or another eradicate evil and save the day or something. There's a lot of Marnie making correct guesses in this film.
Yes, there's also a lot of magic that you're like, oh, okay, sure. You have to suspend a lot of disbelief. That's what we'll say.
And we haven't even gotten to the biggest one yet, but there's just so many times that Marnie just happens to correctly guess what she needs to do, and it's like, there is no way you got through this movie alive. Anyways, so Marnie and her siblings go on an adventure to collect all the ingredients for the potion, like the sweat of a ghost, the hair of a werewolf, the fang of a vampire, etc., etc. Then they go home and make the potion. But unfortunately, the talisman won't light. Marnie then remembers that Sophie is also a witch because Sophie's doing like some little chant that she remembered, and they have to use their combined powers to light the talisman. So they do a little chant together, and hooray, it works and lights up. In the final climax of the movie, Luke decides to help Marnie because he never actually wanted any of them to get hurt, and he feels bad for choosing the wrong side, so the four kids decide to work together and run for the town square. There, the cloaked villain is monologuing, and you won't believe what happens next, Natalie.
Oh, I won't believe it at all, even though I watched the movie an hour ago.
The villain reveals himself to be Calabar the mayor. Turns out he's been the one behind all the evil happenings all along.
Dun, dun, dun!
Ridiculous. His main motivation? Gwen, his high school girlfriend, chose to dump him and move to the normal world and marry a regular dude instead of becoming his queen. So now he wants to overtake the normal world as payback, even though Gwen has already lost her husband and all this happened over 13 years ago. Way to go, Calabar.
Yeah, yep. It's a loose plot.
Held together by nothing but dental floss.
Yeah.
In the midst of this totally shocking and unpredictable reveal, Marnie makes yet another insanely good guess that they need to bring the lit talisman inside of the massive jack-o'-lantern that's sitting in the middle of town square, because apparently jack-o'-lanterns need light to work, and the jack-o'-lantern is probably, maybe she thinks, what protects Halloweentown, and so she goes running over to it. Bit of a risky guess if you ask me, but she's actually correct. Marnie and Luke are able to get her to the jack-o'-lantern, drop the talisman inside, just barely. She's like literally drops it when she passes out over top of it, at which point light shines all over Halloweentown and Calabar is defeated and all the people who had been frozen come back to life. Yay!
Yay!
But wait, we're not done. Calabar stands up and uses his magic to call the talisman out of the jack-o'-lantern to himself, even though it had already been like screwed into some device in there. Whatever. He grabs the talisman, he monologues for several more minutes, waves it around in the air a bit, but then Aggie, Gwen, Marnie, and Sophie all hold hands and combine their powers to defeat him. Sadly, they are not strong enough. Why isn't it working? Oh, wait! Dylan also has magical powers, and he just needs to believe to be able to help. So between the 5 of them, 3 children who just learned they had powers a couple hours ago, 1 grown woman who abandoned her magic 13 years ago, and Aggie, their strength overtakes Calabar, and then he is officially defeated.
Except for Halloweentown 2 is literally called Calabar's Revenge.
Ugh.
So is he defeated?
I can't believe they made 4 of these.
I can.
For this movie, for this film, he's defeated.
Fair.
Marnie and her mom both apologize to each other for not understanding each other, and everyone is happy. Well, everyone except for Luke, whose face has gone back to being that of a goblin because Calabar was the one keeping him handsome. Marnie tells him that his heart is what really matters, and he asks her to kind of maybe a little bit hang out, go on a date possibly the next time she's in Halloweentown. The kids head home with their mom, but now they are allowed to participate in their heritage of Halloween. And that is Halloweentown. 1. 3 more to go, guys.
Oh, goodness. I freaking loved this movie as a kid. And I do watch this every single year for Halloween.
I believe it. So, in that case, you feel like it was not as jarring for you, that it's not as good as it was as a kid?
Oh, no, 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 because I've seen it every year, right? So, like, I'm fully
Yeah.
aware that, like, it's a very, very thin plot. Like, everything is, you're like, oh, okay. Oh, all right. Oh, sure. It's more like a movie that you love for the vibes.
Yes, it has strong, spooky, like ghouly vibes.
Yeah. And I feel like that's why people love this movie so much. It's just like, it's got that nostalgia factor times 10. Like it's got like that 90s charm about it. It's got that heartwarming
Hmm.
story and like I'd feel like I don't know, some Halloween films like the other ones we've watched so far have been like even a little bit spooky scary. There's not really anything spooky scary about this movie. Maybe like when Benny the skeleton gets mean. But like, this is such a comforting, warming, happy Halloween movie and I feel like there's not a lot of those out there.
It's kind of one of those cult classics because you've got like all of these masked, like prosthetic, kind of crazy looking creatures, but they're all very kind. And so you kind of want to
Yeah.
get to know them more. Like, even when Luke at the end has his goblin face, you're like, I can see it. He's such a cute little character.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's so lovable. Like everyone is so lovable.
I also feel like of the different Halloween movies that we've watched, the older ones definitely felt more fun to me. Like the newer
Mhm.
ones, especially like I still don't get why Zombies is a Halloween movie, but like Zombies,
Listen, Disney
um
Channel says it's an official Halloween movie. I don't know what to tell you.
no, I get it. No, I get it. But like this one and Twitches and Under Wraps, I just felt like they get it. Like they understood the assignment of Halloween and what
Mhm.
it means to
Mhm.
be a Halloween film. I did not feel that way about Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire, and that's an older movie, but that movie was an anomaly, honestly.
Yeah, that movie didn't know what it was doing at all. Listeners, if you have not listened to that episode, I really feel like you need to. It's very funny. I Gabby's husband says it's our best episode, so
I think it is, and here's why. If it's a bad movie, it's a great podcast episode, you know?
it wasn't a bad movie. It just definitely wasn't a good movie.
It was somewhere on the spectrum of not good at all.
Fair. Yes.
But yeah, and also like with all these other DCOMs that we've talked about, it has those essential elements. There's kid adventure, there's family, there's all those pieces that make it a DCOM that we love prior to musicals becoming a thing. So yeah, it's got everything that you want and need as long as you can suspend your disbelief, which is fine. We can do that, but it definitely, I mean, it doesn't hold up as like an insanely well written movie. But it was
No,
fun.
for sure not. This isn't winning any Oscars anytime soon.
It was the friends we made along the way.
Exactly. And you know what? That brings me to a thought that I didn't even take notes on, but something just occurred to me. One of the things that I really, really love about this movie is that every single female character is such a strong female character, you know? Like
Mm.
all of them are like women I aspire to be. Literally all of them. Even like the littlest one, what's the little one's name? Sophie. Like
Sophie.
she somehow at like 6 or 7 or whatever she is like one of the strongest women in this movie.
So true.
Grandma Aggie is like my idol, and Marnie knows who she is, and she's so fiercely dedicated and passionate about things. And Gwen is a great mom, and she's like really rocking the single parent household. Like, I love all of these women.
I agree. And something I like that they did not do was make the men idiots to create that. I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes when you're trying to make a strong female character, you have to make dumb men. And to be honest, there's not a lot of men in this film. Like, and Calabar does become the villain and he is crazy. So him aside. But like, even like their brother Dylan, like, yeah, I made the joke of like, that's all you need to know about him. But like, he's so cute and smart and like, he loves his family. And like, like you said, he's like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the man in the house. I'm here to protect Marnie. I'm going to go with her. Like, they didn't dumb down or vilify all of the men in the movie to make the women strong. So I like that they were just strong in their own right.
Exactly. I completely agree. Yeah. And I kind of, again, I didn't take notes on this because it didn't even occur to me until this moment. But like, this is really a feminist icon movie that, like, as we were kids, we grew up and we saw these really strong women. And in my brain, I've always loved them and always like admired them. And it's just now occurring to me that perhaps they helped me see that that was a version of a woman you could be.
Right. And I think that part of that comes whenever you talk about witches, which I know can be a touchy subject for some people. But anytime that you talk about witches, there's usually the idea of a coven, right? Or like a sisterhood. And so there is kind of that
Mm-hmm.
like strength in numbers, female power thing that can come from that. So, but they didn't lean heavy into that at all. It was more about just like, this is who they are and their family. And like the
Yeah.
genes run strong in these women. Something that bothered me that I was going to bring up was how Marnie treats her mom through most of the
Oh,
beginning of the
yeah.
movie. But I
Oh,
can
yeah.
see from what you're saying, like they're both just very fiercely strong women. So, of course, they're going to butt
Mm-hmm.
heads more. I do think Marnie needs to respect her mom more, but like she gets there by the end. So I was like, okay, like you're 13, like sure.
No, she was an absolute brat in the beginning of the movie. Like,
Yeah.
brat.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Like you're just like watching it like I don't even know what I would do in this situation as a mom. I get why Gwen is like, "Oh my gosh." And Aggie showing up is the worst possible thing that could happen at that moment.
I know.
So,
Yeah.
it was pretty rough. I really like though that you can tell at the end like Marnie has a good heart. She's been raised well. Like she does know how to recognize
Mm-hmm.
it and apologize.
For sure. I think she just went through her beginnings of teenage angst, and her dad recently died, and she's the oldest girl, and she's struggling with these things that she loves that her mom doesn't want her to love. And yeah, I just think, it's a rough time for everybody. And it doesn't help that she is also beginning her teenage years.
Right, right. So, transitioning just a little bit, one of the things I absolutely loved about this movie was how they portrayed the residents of Halloweentown as so normal, like, and how
Yeah.
creative they got with that. So, for example, when
Hmm.
the witch, or not the witch, the vampire is at like the dentist getting a fang removed because it's infected. That's
Hmm.
so funny. And then how the ghost is like in a sauna room. So he's like sweating and he comes out like thinner because he's like,
Hmm.
gotten rid of all of his, I don't know, ethereal being. So I
Missed.
don't know. I thought they got, yeah, I thought they got really clever and creative with the different characters in Halloween Town and just how they portray the whole like residency there.
Yes, my favorite part growing up was the werewolf hairdresser. I thought he was so freaking funny. And like when you go into the hair salon and just all the different like crazy people getting their hair done, or like the plant lady in the back where he's like, she's not a shrub, she's a hedge, or whatever he says to her. It's like, I just love that these quirky, fun things are like normal life for them. And I think that's what makes Halloweentown so much fun and like a place that we actually want to visit, because it's not spooky scary. It's just this like, you know what it is, Gabby? It's like Disneyland, where like
Hmm.
everything is fun and absurd and weird and like goofy, but you feel safe. So like you want
Yes.
to go and walk down Main Street, or the Main Street of Halloweentown, and just experience all the things because it's so different than normal, and just like people watch and eat the strange food, but you feel like it's a suspension of disbelief because it's not the real world and you feel safe there.
Yeah, it's definitely like strange and obscure, but not scary or frightening.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just intriguing and interesting. Yeah, it's a fun little town. I like how they portrayed Halloween Town. It's giving like spooky Stars Hollow vibes.
Yeah. The coziness of the film is just, I think, really what makes it so charming.
Yeah, and they lean more like into like fall decor in Halloween Town than even
Mhm.
Halloween decor. Like most of it just looks like very autumn and warm and bright colors, orange and yellow, and it's just lovely. I would like to go
Yeah.
there.
I want to jump real quick before we move on, because I know this discussion's getting long, but I want to talk about I think the number one thing that makes this film as good as it is. And I've already mentioned like vibes and everything, which I think is a huge part of it, but I think that the casting is what makes this film perfect. We'll talk about it later, but like if you don't already know, Debbie Reynolds is a very prestigious, prominent actor. And her like agreeing to do this DCOM was kind of a big deal. Like, and it really brought this like, I don't know, elevated quality to the movie. And she's such a good actor. And like you look at her and you're like, yes, she is Grandma Aggie. Like she is. But then I also really love Kimberly J. Brown as Marnie. Like she is so authentic, and spunky, and I feel like she really leads the movie in a way that like Marnie really is this particular blend of strong character, independent but also family oriented, and she's just so cute and like passionate about everything, and I think that she leads this movie with such like grace and like punch. I don't even know how to describe it, but she's just got that like it factor and I love it.
No, you're totally right. She like draws you along for the entire journey. She really walks you through the whole thing. And she has a way of like we joke about how she just guesses things correctly, but like she's very observant and she's just like very curious and open to discovery. And that's how we are going into Halloweentown since we've never seen it. So she's kind of like the eyes and ears and voice of the audience, but she's also leading the film, which is really hard to do.
Right.
It kind of reminds me of Harry Potter, like how Daniel
Yeah.
Radcliffe in the first movie is both leading the film as the main character, but he's exploring and discovering this entirely new land and world. And because he's curious, we as an audience get to be more curious and ask more questions because he's asking questions. And I think Marnie has that same dichotomy. That's what you were mentioning earlier. So it's a very unique blend.
And I also just, it feels like Kimberly, it just doesn't feel like she's acting. And that's what makes a good actor, right? And it's like, I so believe that she is Marnie that if I ever met her in real life and I was like, you're not Marnie, I think I would like have an aneurysm. I don't know.
She's very convincing as typical 13-year-old girl.
Right. I think sometimes filmmakers or producers will think that casting isn't that big of a deal, but casting is what makes or breaks a movie. And like the casting on this film is what makes this movie have such an impact on us 20 some odd years later, you know? And I had to look this up because I didn't know these people, but I just want to give a shout out to the casting directors who did the work on this film, Natalie Hart and Jason LaPadura, I believe. Excellent job, y'all. I don't know if you're still working, but I'm huge fans.
Casting director's named Natalie.
Natalie Hart cast High School Musical 3 senior year. Oh my god.
And there it is.
You're my idol. And Descendants 3. Oh, wow.
Okay, now I'm in.
And Descendants 2 and Teen Beach Movie. Oh my god, Natalie Hart.
Okay.
We should absolutely get coffee. And Camp Rock. Oh my gosh. Who is this woman? How have I never heard of you?
We have to meet her. We have to be in the same room with this absolute legend. She has literally created the faces of my childhood and beyond.
And it looks like Jason did too. Jason was on these films too. Guys, Jason, Natalie, hit me up.
On that happy note, I have one final negative that we should talk about, which I know I can't fault them too much because it's old, but the CGI we could have done without. Just don't do the broom thing. It was painful. The prosthetics were great. The CGI.
Incredible. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's not good. It's not good. And that leads directly into the public opinion because I am sure someone mentioned the CGI in their reviews.
You know, a bunch of people did, actually. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so because this movie is so popular, there is a tomato meter and a popcorn meter.
Yay!
I will mention that the tomato meter is based on only 6 critic reviews, so that's good to know. You only need 6 to get an actual tomato meter going. But the popcorn meter has over 25,000 ratings, so it's a bit of a skewed survey here. So the tomato meter is 83%, which I think is the highest we've ever had.
Yeah, that's pretty high. That's fantastic.
I know. Did we ever have one that was in the 90s? Or was that the popcorn meter?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, 83% tomato meter, but again, based on 6 critics. So then our popcorn meter, the audience score, 72%, based on 25,000 ratings.
Like we've discussed already. People love this movie.
And we've been like sitting in the 50s recently, so this is pretty great.
Oh, yeah.
For our critics, I have 3 reviews for you from the critics, so half of them. First one's from a guy named Andrew. Halloweentown's energy is infectious, and it does what only the best DCOMs did, capture the pure, undiminishable joy of being a kid. Ellen Dendy says, tween brew, witchy fun, a pinch of fright. And then finally, we have Laura Fries. What separates this original pick from the usual Halloween fare is that it captures the spirit of a holiday designed for kids. It's sweet and fun, but too much could definitely give you a stomachache.
I would disagree that Halloween is designed for children.
I literally was just thinking that.
Yeah, but I mean, sure, yeah. Her review's fine. Sure, yeah.
It has become a holiday that is associated a lot with children, but
That's fair.
ultimately and originally, no. Good try,
Yeah, I was
Laura
like,
Fries.
historically, I don't know about that.
All right, now we have 3 audience scores. I did 3 and 3 for you. We're gonna go on a journey here.
All right.
First, we have Elias B. Considering that this was just the 4th DCOM, I did not confirm. Is that correct? 4th DCOM?
I don't know. Sure.
Okay, whatever. Considering this was just the 4th DCOM and also a made-for-TV movie, this movie is amazingly well done and has aged like fine wine.
Has it?
Yeah, I didn't exactly agree. Now, this is where the journey comes in. Halloweentown has been on my watch list for ages, so I finally gave it a shot for a Spooktober marathon. Going in with low expectations, I wasn't too surprised by how predictable the story turned out to be. Debbie Reynolds is the standout as the whimsical grandmother. She's perfect for the role. Unfortunately, sorry, Natalie, the rest of the cast doesn't quite live up to her charm. The special effects feel painfully outdated, and while I can appreciate the effort for its time, it looks and feels like something I could have made myself. The plot itself is decent, but suffers from poor execution with pacing that drags, dialogue that feels clunky. Maybe if I had watched it as a kid, I'd be a bit more nostalgic to soften the flaws. Overall, it's far from the Halloween classic I had hoped for, just a forgettable watch. 1.5 stars. Matthias.
Matthias, let me say something. I agree with you on most points, but how dare you come for the casting? Just because you think children are annoying in real life doesn't mean that they were acting poorly. That's what children are like.
Well, I mean, he didn't specify kids. He could have meant the mom, too.
Nah, disagree fundamentally.
The whole time you were talking about casting, in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, it's coming. This guy's coming for Natalie. Both of them.
Yes, but which one of us works professionally in casting? Interesting.
Anyways, last review from the audience. We have Riker D coming with some strong feelings. This movie is literally my childhood, and anyone who has ever rated this movie lower than 5 stars should hit every red light and every street ever. Thank you, Riker.
Thank you, Riker. I wish you would write a review for every movie, every DCOM. I think that it's nice to have a little spice every time that you read reviews.
I just really appreciated his specific brand of punishment. Like, I thought he was going to go far dark and be like, they should get hit by cars. And I was like, that's extreme, sir. But no, just like, they should hit every red light on every street ever. Like, sure. Yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, it's awful, but like, it's not evil.
It's like, I hope that that your food is always just a little too salty.
That sounds pretty awful, actually.
All right. I hope that one shoe is always just slightly too tight.
Oh, these do sound really bad. You're good at this game. I don't like it. I don't ever want to be punished by Natalie.
Give me one.
I don't, my brain doesn't work like that. I don't know. You're always either slightly too hot or slightly too cold.
Oh, that's my life right now.
Where are they now?
Oh, where are they now? We have to start with my girl, Debbie Reynolds, who played Grandma Aggie. She was already a Hollywood legend before Halloweentown. Her most memorable role is probably from the movie musical Singin' in the Rain, where she stole our hearts playing Kathy. It is one of my genuinely favorite movie musicals of all time. She is spectacular in it. I want to say it was one of her very first roles because she was like 17 in that movie or something like that. She continued acting after Halloweentown in various film and TV roles. She also reprised her role in the Halloweentown sequels. But now a fun little fact about Debbie, if you didn't already know, she is the mother of another very famous actress, Carrie Fisher from Star Wars fame.
No.
Yeah, she's Carrie Fisher's
the Princess
mom.
Leia?
Yeah, Debbie Reynolds is Princess Leia's mom.
Shut up! So many Star Wars connections from
I
this
know,
movie to
weird,
Star
right?
Wars. Like,
Yeah, so Debbie passed away in December of 2016, just one day after the death of her daughter Carrie. It was very sad, and we miss her
you
dearly.
gotta like trigger warning before sharing that kind of
Oh,
information.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, she was very old in 1998, so I think that you're okay.
No, she's gonna live forever. Oh,
Well,
but she's
she
already
didn't.
dead.
But isn't that sad that she died one day after her daughter? Broken heart syndrome or something? Sad.
I'm leaving now. You can do the rest of the podcast yourself. This is horrible.
We have some happy things coming.
Ugh, continue.
So, Kimberly J. Brown, who played our leading lady Marnie, she acted in a few other things, like notably she was in the 2 sequels of Halloweentown, although she was controversially replaced by Sarah Paxton in the 4th film, Return to Halloweentown, which I love Sarah Paxton in other things, but how dare they recast my Marnie in the 4th film? And you know what? Other than Gabby, everyone else in the universe agrees with me.
I recognize that. I don't argue that. I know I'm wrong. That's the one I grew up on. Also, name me one other Sarah Paxton movie that's not Aquamarine, because let's be real, that's what we all love her in.
That's fair. I was going to say Aquamarine. Great movie. She's great in that movie.
It makes up for 10 other movies. That's how good it is. It is not, just in the same way it's not Halloween season if you don't watch this movie, it is not summer if you haven't watched Aquamarine and you were born between 93 and 98. Just saying.
That's fair. All right. In 2022, Kimberly announced her engagement to actor Daniel Kuntz, who played Cal in Halloweentown 2. The two apparently reconnected later in life and have been fan favorite couple ever since. These days, she's not acting a whole lot, but you can find her very active on social media, and she has a YouTube channel.
Fun. Maybe we could connect with her sometime.
Yeah. Kimberly, do you listen to the podcast? Hit us up. Joey Zimmerman, who played younger brother Dylan, appeared in all 4 of the Halloweentown films. He has since taken a step back from acting, although he occasionally posts updates on social media about his life, and he reminisces about his Halloweentown days. He's kind of doing his own thing. No one's 100% sure, and you know what? The man moves in silence, so good for him. And finally, we have Emily Roski, I believe is how you pronounce that. She played the youngest sibling, Sophie, and she did reprise her role in the other Halloweentown films as well, but she retired from acting after those. She has a black belt in karate now and is a martial arts instructor.
Wow.
She's also married, and just a few days ago, as of this recording, she became a mom. So good for her.
Aww. She's reminding me of Tia and Tamara Mori, just doing all the things.
I know. She's like, thanks for the childhood acting experience. I'm going to go off and live my life.
Good for her. I think one of the best parts of the movie is when Calabar says, bye, Soapy. And he keeps calling her Soapy.
She goes, it's Sophie. She's so cute.
So cute.
Yeah. So despite the fact that many of the cast members no longer live in the limelight or are acting, it's very clear that they all love this franchise. They frequently engage in events and online with fans, and it's just it's so special to see how much they appreciate these movies. So that's my final caveat there.
See, this goes back to, I've talked about this before, how up until around 2000, maybe 6, you just were a child actor for a few years, did your thing, and then became a normal human, and everyone still just knows you for that, and you're just happy to talk about it. Then there became this freak show twist where everyone is scarred, everyone has trauma, everyone ends up either disappearing or something really bad happens to them. And they don't want to talk about what they used to do. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, what happened? We need to shift focus. Because all of these older movies, it's the same ending. Where are they now? It's they're doing great. They're lawyers. They're politicians. They have kids. And I just don't get that same vibe anymore from the later movies.
Yeah, I think unfortunately social media has a lot to do with that. I think the farther we get into these movies being made and the more that these kids had social media as they were getting famous, I think the perhaps worse off they are. It's back to the whole thing that you have said before about how we truly don't understand the negative effects of social media quite yet. Like, we can guess, but we don't know the long-term effects of what growing up with this kind of stuff is doing to us.
Yeah, call back to Smart House. That is a really fun episode, I think, from the podcast to listen to. The Smart House one goes deep.
Yeah, I think that's one of our most when people come up and tell me about the podcast, that's the one people reference. So if you haven't listened to that, guys, you got to go listen to Smart House.
Actually, for me too, it's one of those rare ones that was both nostalgic, but also it makes you think a lot. I feel like it's either oh, it's so nostalgic and fun, or oh, I didn't really consider, but this is a really deep movie. That one definitely had both. It was a good one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, Gabby, what are we going to watch next week?
Yes, so we are going back to our randomizer from all 117 and growing films. We are not obviously going to repeat any. At this point, if we have seen a movie and it has a sequel or a remake and it's not Halloween themed, it's on the list. So that includes High School Musical 2, because we've already seen the first one, Xenon 2. What is it called? Xenon.
I don't know. The third one's called Z3.
Oh, the sequel. The
sequel.
So obviously Z3 is not on the list, but the sequel is. So you get the idea. We're adding those back in, but we are not going to do any more Halloween stuff until hopefully next year. Okay, so here we go with our randomizing spinny wheel. 1, 2, 3, go.
Spin, 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 spin.
Okay.
Spin, 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 spin.
I'm not letting you finish your song. We have our answer.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know this movie. Okay, it's called You Wish! ! Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it, but I've heard of it.
All right, let me do a quick Google search real quick.
Yeah. What year is it made?
2003. Okay, so we're in the 2000s. American fantasy comedy based on a 1991 novel called If I Had One Wish. Let me look it up on IMDb. Hold on. Okay. First of all, I can tell you the pictures look fun. I'm getting a little excited. This movie stars, according to IMDb, AJ Trouth. Is that how you pronounce it? From the Even Stevens show. He's the dumb friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, how do you pronounce Leilani? Who's Miranda from the Lizzie McGuire show.
Yes.
She's in it.
I didn't know she was in it. I freaking love her.
And Spencer Breslin, who's in a ton, but I most know him as Curtis the Elf in Santa Claus 2. He's also in Raising Helen, and I love him in that.
What?
This movie's gonna be good.
I didn't know he was ever in it. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. Guys, have you seen this movie and we just been in the dark? Is this something that you all watched in 2003?
Literally when it first came up on the randomizer, I was like, this is not a movie. This is not a DCOM, obviously. But it is, and it's got all these people. Okay, I'm excited.
Ooh, all right. Everyone join us next week for You Wish.
This is going to be so good, I think. I hope. My hopes are high.
I wish that it'll be good.
I wish to see you all there next week.
I wish that the podcast would end. Anyways, bye. See you next week.
Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of Once Upon a DCOM.
Like what you just heard? Leave us a rating and review. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at onceuponadcom.podcast and share this podcast with your Disney-loving friends.
A big thanks to Gabby for editing this whole podcast together.
Thanks, friend. And don't forget to subscribe because there's always a new episode on the way. This is Gabriella
and Natalie
signing off with a sprinkle of pixie dust
and a whole lot of nostalgia.